you ever thought about how much money it would cost when you die? The answer is about 120,000 yuan. That's right. The basic funeral expense alone could devour nearly half of your annual salary. And we haven't even touched on the funeral ceremonies or the annual memorial expenses that continue for years afterward. In fact, research shows Chinese cultural traditions around the burial rituals have made it to the second most expensive funeral market globally, surpassed only by Japan. This isn't just about culture, it's a big business. The funeral industry in China has been experiencing explosive growth at 15% annually, reaching a market size of 350 billion yuan. And the companies operating in this space, they're not just profitable, they are basically printing money. Take Fushouyuan, one of the industry's leading companies, as an example. Their gross profit margin have reached an almost unbelievable 80%, nearly matching the legendary Maotai, China's premium liquor giant, known for having some of the highest profit margins in any industry worldwide. So why exactly are funeral services so expensive, and what factors have driven this industry's remarkable boom? Okay, smarties, let's get started on this economics of death. According to the National Bureau of Statistics, China shows a decreasing trend in population. By the end of 2024, China's elderly population aged 60 and above reached 310 million. That's 22% of the entire population. That means 1 in every 5 people being over 60. Looking ahead, from 2025 to 2050, the elderly population is projected to grow from 221 million to 351 million. This indicates the degree of population aging continues to deepen in one of the world's most populous nations. The rapid aging of China's population is directly pushing up the country's crude death rate. Between 2020 and 2025, the historical 5-year growth rate of 5% are now projected to skyrocket to approximately 12%. That means the demand of the funeral services market is expected for a certain steady growth, and that could last at least a couple of decades. However, funeral resources are desperately undersupplied. Funeral service generally consists of 3 components: mortuaries, handling the deceased; burials, resting places; memorials and other ceremonial services. Most mortuaries, including funeral homes, morgues, and crematoriums, are owned and operated by the local civil affairs bureaus, commonly known as public institutions. According to the report on the funeral development of China, by 2022, we have about 1,600 funeral homes across the nation. But 22% of the administrative districts have no funeral facilities to meet the local demand. And even where facilities exist, 30% are outdated and need upgrading. Take Hainan as an example, who has 10 million people but has only 2 funeral homes in the entire province. And when it comes to burials, it presents an even more fundamental challenge: land scarcity. We have been facing agricultural land shortages for almost 30 years, so burial practices are the scramblers to the precious space. According to the estimation from Fushouyuan, with an annual death toll of 10 million, it could consume 27 million square meters, equivalent to over 3,700 soccer fields. Now, the country has imposed increasingly strict regulations on burial site approvals. For example, Beijing has already suspended the construction of new for-profit cemeteries. Remember the math we did at the very beginning of this video? Out of the overall funeral expenses, burial plots or cemeteries are most expensive part. So why does a tiny plot of land for the deceased cost more than luxury apartments for the living? Fushouyuan's financial reports present 80% of their total revenue came from cemetery services. Each year, they sell approximately 13,000 burial plots. In 2023, hitting a record at 16,000 sales. But here's where things get really shocking. In 2015, the average cost of a burial plot was around 80,000 yuan. Fast forward to 2024, that same tiny space of earth now commands 120,000 yuan. But wait, despite the terminology of buying a burial plot, you're not actually buying anything. The cemetery plot business model in China is more like a 20-year apartment lease. You pay the deposit upfront, followed by annual rent. The cemetery company maintains the grounds, provides cleaning services, and handles upkeep during this period. When the term expires, you're going to have to renew the contract to maintain your loved one's resting place. That's right, you don't own that burial plot forever. Missing a payment after 20 years and your permanent resting place may not be so permanent after all. Although the cemetery giants like Fushouyan has been favored by the market for many years, they recently revealed an unsettling performance that their profits have declined 50%. Plus, just like all the challenges we have discussed before, the undersupplied mortuary resources, the shortage of land allocation and all, the traditional funeral business may need an innovative and disruptive future. A couple of years ago, cyber memorial services went viral during Qingming Festival. Things like sending the virtual flowers and everything through the cemetery's online platforms, or participating in the virtual cemetery activities through the websites or the mobile apps instead of doing it in person. Civil Affairs Bureau of Beijing even offers their official online memorial platform. And the country is also encouraging the ecological burial methods like tree burials, sky burials, even placing the cremated remains inside concrete coral reef balls as part of the reef ecosystem. These balls are used to repair the damage to coral reefs and provide new habitat for fish and other sea life. But all those are somehow contrary to the funeral traditions and would need several generations to embrace the change. So what do you think of this new trend in the funeral? Leave your comments down below. See ya!